Hey everybody, thank you for joining me and welcome to the channel. I'm going to begin with a little bit of an interjection and a thanks. Someone purchased for me this deck on Etsy and it's beautiful. I love the finish, and as you can see, it's not shiny, so it's perfect for YouTube. Essentially what happened is that due to advertising laws, since the last time I've posted a lot of videos, those laws became much more strict, causing us to have to remove all decks that feature any sort of body images, which is known as a commonplace in tarot, from our collections. So we could either paint over them or we could just remove them altogether. Some of my decks I can paint over because they're mass-produced, easy to replace, but some of my decks are collector's items and I can't paint them over. So I offered you guys a promo to get me a deck from Etsy or Amazon that I could use on the channel. And so one of you obliged. Actually, there's, I think, one more deck coming from Etsy. And so thank you very much. It's beautiful. It's perfect for the size of my hand and everything about it is beautiful. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, I can't have the Etsy wish list up anymore. There was a technical problem with it that I wasn't aware of, but I do have an Amazon wish list. So if you want me to read on Tarot Talk, which is my tarot only channel, with a deck that you purchase, and if you want to make a suggestion on the type of reading I should do for the collective, get me a tarot deck and then send me an email to the email that's provided down below, and I will do a general reading on the topics you suggest. I would just ask that you send me 10 suggestions of different topics. This allows me to pick a topic that is best for the channel. Anyway, this deck is beautiful. I'm excited about the other deck that I'm about to get. And thank you so much to everybody else who's purchased a deck. I'm excited to be posting on Tarot Talk and Veroosh again. And today's astrology is very exciting. So this is a very timely gift. So thank you very much for that. So today we're looking at Kala Sarpa Yoga. This is a transit that's actually ending tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. This is a very special alignment of planets on one side of the zodiac. It comes from Vedic tradition, so the Indian version of yoga, of astrology. Kala Sarpa Yoga is mentioned in ancient Vedic texts, but a lot of the ways that it's interpreted is a modern tradition. So it's not a traditional Vedic practice in the way that it's observed these days. The next time it happens is 22 years from now. That's 2038. So to understand what this energy is all about, think of things like a scale. So we have all the planets on one side of the zodiac, while Venus is moving to this side of the zodiac, to the other side. And so as she moves over, this imbalance that you see here begins to shift. So she pushes down the weight of the scale on one side while these planets start to be removed from the one side of the zodiac. So let me show you on the chart right here. Here is the south node. Here is the north node. All of the planets are on one side of the zodiac. And here's Venus, and she's about to pass the south node. And when she does, she shifts the balance of the zodiac to the other side and breaks the Kala Sarpa Yoga. So the Kala Sarpa Yoga is traditionally just 7 planets. In this case, Pluto is the only planet that's not on that side of the zodiac. A few years ago, I told you about this transit when Pluto was included, and we had a complete one-side Kala Sarpa Yoga with all of the planets, including the outer planets as well. But based on Vedic tradition or modern Vedic practices, we just need 7 planets. The planets in from Saturn, including Saturn. And even with those inner planets, this is exceptionally rare. It creates an imbalance in the zodiac that creates more instability, variability, and chaos in the world around us, but it comes with major benefits as well. So the two recent periods or iterations of this transit were in 2025 between April 2025 and July 2025. So that was last year. And you can compare this year to last. It would have been a moment of great abundance for you, great growth. And then March 26th through tomorrow, July 11th, 2026. Under this transit, we are projecting. Not just us, but everything in the world is initiating, projecting, and very active. The energy sequence has a lot to do with acquiring, achieving, and then ultimately releasing. So this is external expansion and ultimate release of action. And what's happening tomorrow that's super interesting is that this big shift of energy is happening at the same time as the sun and Mercury Cazimi. That actually happens on July 12th under Mercury retrograde. And then we have the moon activating the fresh and brand new Uranus and Mars conjunction in Gemini. That happens on July 10th through the 11th. And then we have Venus with the South Node, which is the break in the Kala Sarpa Yoga on July 11th at 6 a.m. So we talked about the moon in the position of Mars and Uranus in another video. I really recommend you check out that video down below. But essentially what's special about this transit is that moon is a supermoon. It's very close to the earth, creating a very intense emotional and mental energy. It's bending the nodes, which is a saturation point, if you remember me talking about that, which means that we've accumulated energy up to a point and now we are ready to transmute it and process it. And then it's also out of bounds, which means that it's unhinged off its beaten track in an irregular position. These 3 points on their own show up in Gemini, have not shown up in Gemini in the last 2,500 years, okay? And they have not shown up in any zodiac sign since the 5th century, so 1,500 years. It's been literally thousands of years since we've had just the moon transit alone, but in combination with this, which is arguably more rare, it's unprecedented in history. Super rare and super intense. So because of this very special nature of this transit, I'm going to do a reading for everyone today. And then I will also do a reading for the members because the transit is approaching, being exact right now at the time of filming, which is July 10th. And so hopefully this information will help you to move forward. And you can watch that at any time. It's just observing this fundamental shift in energy. Oh yeah, and how can I forget? Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus have switched signs into fire and air, right? So before they were in earth and water, feminine energies, and in 2026, they've completed the full transition into air and fire. And that's historically unprecedented. So it's a very special synchronicity of time. And from an astrological perspective, prepare for the unexpected. Expect things to happen in a completely different way than they have in the past. There's fundamental shifts happening in the world, and we as individuals are adjusting to them. Does that mean something will happen in the world right now? It's quite possible. However, I think the point here is that we are going through a fundamental shift in who we are as a society and as people, and the things that you're used to are not going to resonate anymore. That's why being open-minded and being flexible and being willing to consider other people's perspectives is so beneficial right now. So let's go over some of the things that Kala Sarpa Yoga, KSY for shorthand, may have brought into your life between March 21st, 2026 and July 11th, 2026. First of all, let's start with the positive. You grow a lot. So your perspective changes. You see different things. You learn things. You read interesting things. You grow a lot. You have exposure to different ideas and different types of people. However, the difficulty around this transit is that it's unstable and unpredictable. So things can crash and burn really easy through that time, or even though there's intensity around you, it's really hard to hold on and make things work. It's also good to remember in extreme transits like this that we are all influenced by the astrology. The astrology isn't some normative tool, meaning it does not favor good people over bad people. It gives good and bad people energy in particular ways. So when we have an extreme transit like Kala Sarpa yoga or the moon in that supermoon position we just talked about, the bad guys get that energy too. So we, the good guys, grow a lot and the bad guys gain ground as well. So under this transit, you may experience unusual expression, like you may find different ways to express yourself, but you may also perceive expression of others as strange or different than what you're used to. And this is a time of extremes, both collective and personal. If you're watching this between July 10th and the 11th in the morning, depending where you are in the world, if you're in Australia or something, I think you have till the 12th. You have to adjust the Pacific time, I don't think it's standard daylight time, to your time zone, but just look up 6 a.m. Pacific time to whatever time zone you're in, and that's your cutoff date. That's when the energy breaks. So I just really recommend that you pay attention to the things that are happening around you, see what kind of experiences you've had, take note of what has begun in your life, particularly between March and July. One of the things about this transit, and this is taken more from Vedic, that it's a midlife transit. So this is when it really works its magic in a person's life. The next time this transit happens is 2038. And so maybe some of you will have reached midlife by then. When you're younger than midlife, it brings a lot of chaos, okay? So it can be very overwhelming. So this is a transit that is mastered by people who have a certain amount of lived experience under their belt. But everybody benefits from it. Now, with this shift, so now we were just talking about what's been going on. So between March and July 2026, you may be feeling some things as Venus is approaching this transition point. So it's completely normal if you're feeling nervous with anticipation, because we're going through a fundamental shift that's going to be with us for a long time. You may be feeling loss or grief for this last period of time in which these Kala Sarpa yogas were happening, because you intuitively feel that your life is changing and it's going to be different now. Not only the outer planets shifting, but this emphasis shifting towards the other side of the zodiac. Some of you might feel apprehension, while others might feel relief and calm. So apprehension about the unknown, apprehension about losing a way of life that you've grown accustomed to, and towards relief and calm, especially those of you who are bothered by the instability, bothered by the chaos, bothered by the intensity of the Kala Sarpa yoga. You might actually be very excited about this shift. You can let me know in the comments which category you are in. But all of these feelings are perfectly normal and you shouldn't worry at all. So let's talk about what the next side is all about to address particularly the nervous energy. So the energy that we're shifting towards is called Kala Armita Yoga, and this will peak in 2034 through about 2036. Okay, so that's when we are going to feel the same extremes of energy on the other side of the zodiac that we do now. So remember how I told you Kala Sarpa yoga is about projecting, externalizing external worldly events? Kala Armita yoga has a lot to do with the internal. So this is when you're processing, internalizing, learning through refining the knowledge you've accumulated. This is a moment of inheritance, development, and expansion. So it starts with an inheritance of familiar patterns and bringing in experiences through shared experiences within families and social communities, and then building outward growth. So bring your focus back to Kala Sarpa yoga, which is the phase we're finishing now. That has to do a lot about building and expanding upon the growth you've built under the previous transit of Kala Armita yoga and refining it, externalizing and gaining from that previous period. And now we're going to go back to the drawing board and initiate, create, but in a personal way, personalized way. So this is behind the scenes and private. And you may experience a more calm time then. This has a lot to do with personal adjustment. As opposed to changing the world around you, you're changing within. You're supposed to take what you learn from Kala Sarpa yoga and integrate it. And from what you've integrated, when the next Kala Sarpa yoga begins, then you will project it again in 2038. So this is very similar to the snake eating its own tail, right? So we have this continual process of refining, projecting, transforming, integrating. It's quite beautiful. So because we have all of these different transits happening together, I really wanted to do a tarot card reading for you guys. And I'm going to do a members only tarot card reading for added messages at the end. So the fact that Venus has switched past the South Node is significant here, but there's still so many transits on one side of the sky, and that energy continues onward for several years. In fact, Saturn has just passed the North Node in 2025. That's what initiated the Kala Sarpa yoga to begin with. So it's still several years while we have this balance of energies as all the planets slowly drift to the other side. And by 2034, we will have the Kala Armita yoga on the other side, creating a balance in the other direction. But right now we're in a balance period between the two and an integration, a gray area, a liminal space. So if you're tired of all the chaos and all the change, this is actually something that is going to make your life much calmer and stable, especially for the next couple years. So I hope you guys are enjoying my extra uploads at this time. We're going to set ourselves up into a nice little schedule very soon, but I just want to play around a little bit and see what you guys like the most. There's a lot of ground to cover before we get back in. I've said this in a previous video. So I'm just trying to cover territory that we haven't covered in the last 6 months. And as you can see, a lot of different transits are happening at the same time. And I thought it was easier for me to make a series of videos than one long video that's complicated and hard to sit through. Even my 40-minute videos, when I watch them objectively, it's a lot of information. And someone said the comment, it's like a university lecture. I would say that it's kind of like a astrology university lecture, and I'm glad you guys are intellectually stimulated by this. I find this very interesting. But these shorter videos, I think, work better for these difficult concepts. And if you're new to astrology, congratulations. This is not beginner astrology at all. So you're making your way through some pretty intermediate or even advanced concepts that include a blending of astrology and astronomy. So I hope that it's not been too hard. And if you have questions, feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to answer them in the comments or in future videos. But yeah, if you're new to astrology or if you're intermediate, congratulations if you even got a little bit of this stuff. I've been at this for years. So for me, this is a long practice. So I hope I'm not going over anybody's head. But yeah, congratulations. This is not easy at first. It takes a long time to learn. So if you're sitting through it and persisting through it, you're doing great. Okay, so let's play with my new tarot deck. I love this so much, I have to say. So I hope the person who got it for me is smiling because it's just beautiful. And the background is, I'll show you, it's just so beautiful. Such a pretty deck. Okay, so let's see the first card. We have the Knight of Wands, a Sag, a Leo, or an Aries energy. I want you guys to see the card, so I zoomed in a little bit. And then we have the Knight of Swords. This is the Six of Wands, sorry. There's the writing on the deck is, I'm still getting used to it. So we have the Knight of Swords. So Six of Wands is actually Jupiter in Leo. And I didn't want to go over the top, but Jupiter has just entered Leo and is forming a cradle formation with the outer planets as well. It's triggering that. And next year, it's going to pass the South Node. And that's really going to break the Kala Sarpa Yoga even more because Jupiter is a big boy, as we know. So when it goes to the other side of the zodiac, that's a big deal. But Jupiter is in Leo, which makes this whole alignment even more rare. We're talking just unprecedented astrology in the sky around us. But we have the Knight of Swords, which is Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. To me, this signals a messenger or communication. We have the Ace of Swords. That's communication. There's messages being sent to you now. Somebody's reaching out. There's been a victory over something. So a victory over a situation, a circumstance has been clarified. If there was bad blood between you and someone else, that might have greatly improved now. And so you may be hearing from people. And especially in terms of our timelines, if we think back to Mercury retrograde, which we mentioned in a previous video, I think July 24th was our date when Mercury goes direct, right? And then creates a sextile to Venus right after that. So maybe this will be the timeline that we're looking at now. We have the Lovers. So we're looking at what is shifting. This is the energy of Gemini, and this is where the moon is joining Uranus and Mars. Big changes, communications about things. Then we have the Nine of Rods. So someone's tuckered themselves away behind, I don't want to hide these cards, they're so pretty, but someone's tuckered themselves away in some kind of solitude or separation. Maybe this is in the anticipation of communication about a matter. Maybe they're nervous about hearing something from someone. One of the main frequencies of this shift is an apprehension, which means that someone is apprehensive or weary of where things are going. This is because we as animals feel the nature of the astrological shifts. So we feel the shift switching between one side of the zodiac to another. It's like the first drop of water into a second glass. So when you're pouring from one glass to the other, Venus past the South Node is essentially triggering that first drop of water into the empty glass from the other glass. Okay, so let's see one more card. And we have the Queen of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. There's definitely communication about something. There may be hidden information or someone is hiding information about a situation that they're involved in, but there's some kind of overcoming of negative energies. See, the problem with Kala Sarpa Yoga is it's very beneficial because it puts us out into the world and it initiates things in a very intense way. The negative side is that it creates too much energy. It's overzealous energy. And that overzealousness creates a huge imbalance and creates a lot of negativity. So what I mentioned about good and bad guys receiving the energy is really true. The bad guys too receive energy, and there's no real bad guys in the world. Well, there's some, but in reality, there are different ways of processing the world and information and our relationships with each other. And not every single person has the capacity to be able to process everything in a fair way. Everybody who's done work on themselves knows that it's quite a lot of work to adjust behaviors and thoughts and expectations to a better quality of behavior and standard of living. So there's this adjustment here with regard to any negativity that has been projected at you is being reframed or overcome. And there's a protective element here in which if you've been the subject of negativity from someone or from a group of people, you find yourself now protected in a much more calm space. It's kind of like a incubation in which you're meant to shift from that external world, highly interactive with others, to a more internal state. That doesn't mean your outside world is going to change, but the temperament of everything is changing. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is Jupiter. Such a beautiful card. We'll just go through the whole deck and read it in order so you can see all the cards. Let me know if you guys want to flip through. Maybe we can do that for members. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles. So yeah, invest in the future. Our now timeline is 2034 for the second yoga, the Amrita yoga. And so this is an internal investment. So wise astrologers, what they would do with this energy is say, aha, the energy is shifting in this way, so I must now refine the things I've accumulated, the things in my basket. I must refine and process and learn at this time and grow in their depth. And then when the energy shifts again, then I can start bringing things out into the world again. And the people who fight this energy will likely struggle a lot. The next card is the Eight of Swords. So there will be physical or material changes that are causing you to have to adjust your behavior anyway. So it's better to be proactive and change your focus on an internal process more so than in the outside world. So yeah, there can be obstacles, disconnecting from things that are in your way, using the things that you have on hand already to benefit you. Let's see what else. We have the King of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. So you come into this phase enriched in some way. Now that enrichment can be varied depending on what type of person you are, but try to identify where you've been enriched and where you are strong. I do feel like you've won over someone or someone's opinion because of past events. And then we have the King of Swords. There's some kind of massive deliberation that is happening around you or to do with events concerning you. Two kings back to back. Big decisions are being made. And then we have the Hierophant, which is the energy of Taurus. There's big deliberations, and the Hierophant has been appearing a lot right now. Chiron has entered Taurus, the sign of Taurus. So that is aspecting Venus right now. I didn't want to go overboard in today's video and include all these transits together. But whatever material conditions you are under right now, whatever's affecting you now, pay attention to those, because these are patterns that are going to carry you through till actually around the same time as the Kala Armita Yoga begins, so 2034. That's when Chiron enters Gemini. A big decision is being made. Let's pull one more card. We need more cards on this. We have a big judgment. Last judgment is Pluto and Mars is beginning. And then we have the Tower. Something's changing in your life in a big way. Let's find another card. We have Two of Wands, a change in perspective. I think that something is coming into your favor. I think that someone's revisited an issue concerning you and there's more insight in a situation. I think that maybe you have won over someone's opinion, as I said, and now decisions are being made retroactively regarding the past, realizing that past decisions were made under wrong assumptions or different assumptions. And then we have a new beginning. Now this satisfies me for this deck. We can stop right now as I'm going to leave you on a tower, but a new emotional beginning happens here. And then we have the Knight of Wands on the bottom. Remember how the first card I thought that was Six of Wands, Jupiter in Leo, was Knight of Wands? Well, here he is on the bottom of the deck. Something is coming in for you very quickly. A new beginning starts. A new emotional beginning is starting for you because of this transformation. Okay, so let's make it more simple with the Kitsch Lenormand. I love this Lenormand deck, I think, the most. I got this on Etsy, by the way, if anybody's curious. It's such a cute little deck. I don't know if you can buy it on Etsy anymore. I just like it because it's kind of colorful. I lived with a roommate that was obsessed with a table like this many years ago, and she brought it in from storage. It was some kind of vintage thing that she found. And these are like the mid-century modern tables. Hers was orangey, yellow. A lot of those colors were fashionable back then. But anyway, she loved the table, so this reminds me of her. We have bouquet, some kind of gift coming. I do see there's some degree of compensation. Now, all this is happening together. So we have the Mars triggering Uranus and the moon there right now. At the same time, we have Venus passing the South Node, breaking the Kala Sarpa Yoga. And then we have the Kazemi with the Sun, which is a moment of revelation. That happens on the 12th. So just back to back to back, we have groundbreaking events. And we have the bouquet. To me, it symbolizes that there's some kind of shift or truth coming to a situation. And out of that, you get compensation or gifts. Like people find out the truth in a situation that really helps you. We have lilies. This means that older people are involved. And this is a protective card. Sometimes lilies is associated with like an older man, but I read Lenormand in a more genderless way. So the protective energy of older people and their wisdom of discernment. So their ability to see what's going on, or not as easy to be convinced as younger people sometimes are. We have the ship going somewhere. And then we have the scythe, which is that tower energy, the drastic change. Let's see what else we get. The stork, something new being offered. There's some kind of generous gift. And then we have a long awaited for arrival of something. You're reaching a destination. So all of this is coming to some kind of destination or a path you've been on the road to for a very long time, many years. I talked about the Kala Sarpa Yoga. I don't even remember if it was before 2019 or just after. Many years. It was after. It was probably like 2021, 2022. I'll find out and put it in the description because I'll find the previous iterations of it. It must have been when the North Node was in Gemini or Taurus before it passed Uranus. I remember that part. So it was 2023, 2022. I'll find it and I'll tell you. That means that we've been working on this side of the zodiac for that long with these extremes happening now. And so whatever path you have been on, the accumulation of lived experiences and events is growing together into some amazing outcome for you. And I just hope it's great. I hope that it's triumphant. And the main thing about Venus crossing the South Node now is that this stabilizes the energy. It stabilizes the energy in the sense that those extremes are now going to begin to taper out and become more subtle, more understated. Now, we still have other things going on, like out of bounds moons. I forgot about out of bounds Pluto also is happening in the fall. So it's not that everything's completely calm, but one of these factors that has been influencing this random chaos and instability in our lives is really slowing down. So if you're apprehensive about this, or maybe if you're like, we live in a time when people are more isolated because of computers and just modern society. So I could see predictions that now we're going internal be a trigger for some people who already feel isolated. A lot of people turn to online who are isolated themselves. And so people who are experiencing concern that this is going to be more isolation, I just want to reassure you that it's something that you may feel apprehension, but when it actually happens, it's going to be a relief feeling. It's going to be what you want. It's going to work out the way that you want. And you're going to benefit from it a lot. Okay, so let's use my glitched tarot since Uranus is in the mix. I think of my tarot deck as like a Uranian deck because it's all like weird. Okay, so Ace of Pentacles. I know that this was in a recent video because I was watching this just to check my old video from the last week. And I remember seeing this card, Ace. So new financial beginning, new offer. There's a little bit of an adjustment period, which is the Two of Pentacles as well. So it's bringing something on. You're putting another egg in your basket. And then we have the Page of Swords, more messages, someone reaching out to you with information. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles, and she was here already, so she's an important one. Queen of Pentacles is a Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, or water sign energy. Sag. That was a Freudian slip, so maybe that's a message for someone, but it's Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Always remember with these cards that this can be a man, or this could be a woman, or any other gender, and this can be any sign. Those are just data points and descriptions from traditional tarot observations. So someone's waiting for something to come in. There's information about that coming. There's a little bit of an adjustment period. Remember, the main point of today's video is that everybody's shifting. Everybody's kind of like musical chairs. They're running around and they're nervous. So if you have a predisposition of nervousness, if you don't like change, just brace yourself a little bit. It will get a little bit transformational over the next little while as everybody settles in. And if you don't like a lot of transformational shifty energy, then just hold tight and let people do what they may. Since the oncoming transit is a focus on the internal, if you have a problem with shift and flux, then just focus on yourself. Bring your attention to yourself and wait for the right moment to act. But I think the Anchor is the perfect card for this reading. I really feel like people are very close to where they need to be. And then we have Two of Swords, which has also been coming up a lot. That's Moon in Libra. There's a lot of activation points coming in the next couple months, or even now they're already begun with Moon in Libra. That's a powerful transit every single month, especially in the first decade. I just think that it's important to just kind of wait and see, allow for adjustment, let the dust settle down. And I think that it's beneficial to not react to whatever happens. Allow the dust to settle, allow people to do what they need to do to adjust. And when it settles, then you'll find your path a certain way. So yeah, it feels like maybe something's changing for people around you, and that can change the nature of your circumstances or your relationships. But I'm guessing like a few weeks to a couple months of adjustment will really help you to find your bearings within whatever's happening or changing. Let's look at the cards a little more. We have King of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Secondary is Fire, Sag, Leo, or Aries. This can be a woman. And then we have the 10 of Rods. Somebody's carrying heavy burdens. I feel like this is an adjacent situation, but maybe it's something separate. Somebody's carrying heavy responsibilities. I feel like they're struggling with a lot of internal things, so Venus past the South Node will be very triggering for them. They're a nostalgic person thinking about the past. And we have Three of Pentacles. They're trying to make things happen a certain way. And then we have the Queen of Rods. There's a very active person. This is a Sag, Leo, or Aries possibly, or water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio energy. Can be a man, can be a they. But this person is highly assertive towards a certain path. If you're wondering, you may know who these people are. This person is the instigator of situations. I get a very clear reading on the fact that you may have proximity to this person a lot, but there's this person who's a very active instigator of energy. Then we have justice, fairness coming in a situation, and then you get your wish fulfillment. You get your wish in a situation. Let's pick 2 more cards. We have the Fool. This begins a new journey. And then you have the King of Pentacles. This is the Morgan Greer Tarot. I love this deck. And yeah, I actually specially ordered an Italian version because it was the only one of the older borderless publishing that was available. And I highly recommend it if you can find one to get it. I don't know if it's been republished since. It's a very popular deck, so might have been. Sorry, it's a sideline message, but new beginning of prosperity. Justice is brought to a situation, and this brings you to success. On the bottom, though, and this is important, is the Four of Cups. So is what you are being offered fully compensating you for what you've lost and how you've been inconvenienced in the past? Because the Four of Cups is suggesting that even though what's coming is abundant and prosperous, that it's still just a fraction of the inconveniences that you've had to experience. Okay, let's pick a couple more cards from my new deck for celebration. We have the Queen of Wands. She's there again. So there's an important Sag, Leo, or Aries person who's a part of all this that's happening. We have the Hermit, which is Virgo. That's the energy of Venus past the South Node. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles, and that's Venus in Virgo, by the way. So I feel like that's a good energy. Wealth coming in, abundance, but also probably with some kind of isolation. And look what's on the bottom. True friendship. This could be a removal of people who stood in your way or people who were actively trying to stop you, and now you can step into your abundance. Some of you may be surprised by how many people are not aligned to you, and so you may find yourself that the abundance that you're standing in is your own. Depending what you do and what the situation is, material abundance does come at the cost of some social relationships, because social relationships sometimes modify this, like a tall poppy syndrome, trying to push people down. So this is kind of standing in your own energy and standing in your own abundance, but with the knowledge that it's harder to meet people and find common ground with people who are in this space. And if you welcome the wrong people, then you get the mice situation from the Lenormand, where people come in and try to extract your success, your prominence, your wealth, and your abundance. Let's pick from the Psychic Tarot, and then I'll move on to members reading. We have the Six of Cups. So there is this nostalgic memory about the past and happiness for the things you've experienced, but know it's time to move on, seek the truth. Certain relationships are meant to be left in the past. And the Five of Pentacles. I think that there is this period of adjustment where you're going to earn your financial prosperity. By that, I mean that nothing's handed to you on a silver plate, and you earn everything that you keep. And you're once again on the trajectory to prominence, wealth, and success, with the knowledge of previous experiences where people tried to curb that success because you let the wrong people in. So this time you're going slower. This is the Hanged Man, and this is the Observe card. So you're going slower this time, and you're not necessarily externalizing your energy so much. It's all coming from within you in a powerful process. Take the lead. And let's leave on this card because this is a nice card to finish off on. So the ships are coming in. This is the traditional tarot for the Three of Wands. The ships are coming in, and so it's time for you to take the lead. You have the vision of the direction that you're about to take, and it's going to be very prosperous. So we did a lot of talking today, but hopefully you understand this primary shift that's happening now. This is not mainstream astrology. So again, if you're new, you did a really great job by getting to this point. And still, I hope you're excited. If you're a member and you're curious for more, I know I am, come over to the members video down in the description and we'll talk about it there. Okay? Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll catch you soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye.